Video you watched and the radio program that you listened to, you now know one thing, and that's a very important thing. You are the single most vulnerable people to fake news. I mean, 90% of high school students couldn't tell fake news, and for us, this is our very first attempt at being able to conduct independent research online without support. Up to this point in the year, I've been the one who's provided all of your resources for you. I've been the one to vet and make certain that all resources are reliable. We need to make sure that you're not going to be bamboozled by fake news. We need to be vigilant in making certain that the sources that we are citing, the sources that we are using, are in fact real news. Now, today I'm going to give you 3 concrete strategies that you can use. In 2 classes, I'm going to give you a slew more, so we'll have a number of strategies we can use to combat the prevalence of fake news. Let us start at the top. Number 1, look for unusual URLs. And a URL, remember, is like a .com, a .gov, a .net, including those that end with .lo or .com, .co. These are often trying to appear like legitimate news sites, but they aren't. Second, consider whether other credible mainstream news outlets are reporting the same news. If they're not, it doesn't mean it's not true, but it does mean you should dig deeper. For example, if you have something, let's say, on The Guardian, you don't need to check it on the New York Times. We already know that The Guardian is a credible mainstream news outlet. Another example of a credible mainstream news outlet would be the BBC or any of the websites that we generally use for our current events journals. Now, if you find yourself on a website and you do not know it, you're unfamiliar with that website, you absolutely must check that information, check that topic, check that story on the New York Times or the BBC or the Week or whatever it might be to make certain that other news outlets are carrying it. You need to what's called corroborate your story. We can no longer just rely on one source if we are unfamiliar with that source. Now, in addition to checking a story, how do we know if the publisher or the author is going to be legitimate, is going to be reliable? Well, there are 3 strategies I've given you. So number 3, check Snopes, Wikipedia, and Google before trusting a news story. So for example, you could take an author's name and you could type it into Google. You can go to their Wikipedia page. You could read a little bit about it. You can do the same thing with a publisher. But Snopes is a website that many of us probably are not familiar with, but it's strictly and exclusively designed to help you do just that. It's a website that figures out whether news is fake or whether it's real. And they have a series of articles available. Now, in a few moments, you're actually going to take a look at another video I've put together that will explain to you how to use and navigate Snopes.